Hi folks, so I thought it was high time for another vlog from a log. So it's Sunday morning and I've come down to the Cambrian Flying Club. I'm going to do another couple of exams and then I'm going to show you around the PA38. So, exams done, human performance and operational procedures. Nailed them, so I'm pretty chuffed. As you can see today, it's not a very good day for flying. So I thought I'd show you around the PA38, or the Tomahawk, or to give it its affectionate name, the Traumahawk. This is Gotham, just over here, the one I've been flying. And Piper built this aircraft in the 70s, actually only built 2,500 of them. But they built it as a direct competitor for the Cessna 150, which was an incredibly popular plane at the time. But before they built it, they surveyed 10,000 flight instructors and organisations for feedback on what it was they wanted out of a basic trainer. And the response was that they wanted a plane with improved visibility. As you can see, this awesome cockpit really delivers on that front, and also something that was a little bit wider and with a little bit more legroom. But significantly, what they also wanted was an aeroplane that actually spins. There was a trend at the time to produce aircraft which naturally flew themselves out of an upset position, out of a stall or a spin, which is a great safety feature. But it didn't actually help instructors when they were trying to teach their students these important aspects of training. So yeah, Piper really delivered on that, and it requires quite active, positive control inputs to recover this plane. And when it's spinning, it does spin with a fair amount of force, actually, which is felt quite strongly on the tail section. So there is a safety regulation in place now which says that we're not actually allowed to spin these, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, this tail section is actually quite interesting in itself. As you can see, it's a T-tail, which was sort of also a bit of a trend at the time. But it contributes to one of the important features that makes this plane such a good trainer, and that is that it handles very much like a larger aircraft, which helps that continuity as you go through your training. And the reason it handles very much like a larger aircraft, or one of the reasons, is because of this T-tail. The control surface, the elevator here in this case, is up out of the prop wash. As you can see, down the aircraft, the prop wash comes all the way down and it actually flows underneath the control surface, which means that at low speeds there is a slightly lower airspeed around this control surface, meaning you need slightly exaggerated inputs on the elevator. Another really important characteristic of this plane, which makes it so good, is that it has very significant characteristics in the stall, and that's all down to this wing, which is pretty awesome in itself. This is a NASA designed wing called the GAW1. Specifically, it was designed by Richard T. Whitcomb, who was a NASA aeronautical engineer who came up with the area rule, which was a really significant development in the field of transonic aerodynamics. And it was this which helped contribute to a lot of the shape that you see in supersonic aircraft of today. But after he came up with his area rule, what he went on to do was really try to develop the airfoil so it produced very low values of drag at transonic airspeeds. And he did this by taking a 2-meter section of a wing, putting it in a wind tunnel, and day on day he changed it with auto body putty and a file and sandpaper until he came up with this airfoil, which actually has really, really low drag values at supersonic or transonic airspeeds. But one of the major side effects of that was that at low airspeeds it produces really high lift values, so just before the stall, and that made it perfect for gliders and light aircraft. So yeah, it's a fantastic plane to learn to fly in. I'll show you inside. You can see the controls, which handle much like a larger aircraft, and also, as you see, quite wide. The plane also has a fantastic, slightly better safety record than the Cessna 150. Per hour, it's had less accidents per hour flown, and that's attributed to the fuel controls, the fuel selector being front and central, right in the pilot's eye line. That's a major thing. And as you can see, can't really tell it at the moment, But yeah, it handles a little bit more like a larger aircraft, supposedly. I've never flown a larger aircraft. I haven't actually flown another aircraft. Well, my first ever trial flight many years ago was actually in a Cessna 150. I can't really compare because it was such a long time ago. Anyway, the visibility in here is great. You can see all the way around. I find it's a joy to fly. It has a fuel capacity of 30 US gallons, about 12 litres. Gives you a safe flight time of 4.5 hours, cruising speed of about 90 knots, which gives you a range of around 400 miles, something like that, about that. So it makes it not only just a great basic trainer, but quite a good and really quite efficient, cost-effective light aircraft for personal use. This is actually the Mark II, which had a few upgrades. So the Mark II was produced between 81 and 82, and what they did was they slightly larger wheels. I don't think we have a Mark I here today, but what they did was they changed the wheels and make them slightly bigger, 6-inch wheels, to give a better prop clearance, and they changed the trim settings for the on horizontal stabilizer. They changed the thrust vector of the engine, which means they offset it slightly just to reduce that torque reaction that you experience on takeoff, to just angle the engine. They improved the cabin sound dampening and the cabin heat controls to produce really quite an excellent plane. And I don't think I have too much more to say about it, other than it's epic and I love flying it. Next time, hopefully, I'll show you some more footage from the air.